Right. Fourier series in arbitrary intervals. See, in the last few classes, you see, we are discussing about Fourier series, but in 2 pi length intervals, right? You see, when you are given a function which is defined in the interval either 0 to 2 pi or minus pi to pi, for those intervals, you see, we have discussed about the Fourier series expansion. And even when you are given a function which is defined in the interval 0 to pi, even for that half intervals, we had seen how to find the Fourier series, right? In fact, we called it as half range Fourier series, right? Now see, when you are given such an interval, that is fine. But when you are given an arbitrary interval in the sense, you see, interval which may not include, multiples of pi, right? There won't be any pi, you will have simply numbers, right? The regular intervals, what we use regularly in real analysis. You may have an interval like something this is 0 comma 1, 1 comma 3, right? You may have anything, you see, minus 1 comma 2, whatever it may be. So when you are given an interval of this kind, right, we'll see regularly, this kind of intervals. When you are given a function which is defined in these kind of arbitrary intervals, then how can we find out the Fourier series? In fact, you see what we do, whatever the the concept we have discussed in the case of 2 pi intervals, that idea will be extended to these arbitrary intervals. In fact, you see, as you can see here, when you are given a function which satisfies these Dirichlet conditions, right, it is enough to find out the Fourier series by simply changing, we know how to find out the Fourier series in this interval when it is c comma c plus 2 pi. Understand this properly. When it is c comma c plus 2 pi, in this interval, we already know how to find out the Fourier series. Now you want, Fourier series in this interval c comma c plus 2l. Whatever the interval you may take here, we can just rewrite those intervals, like this c comma c plus 2l. By taking different values for c and l, we'll get all these intervals. So we're simply writing it like this. We know already how to find the Fourier series in this interval c comma c plus 2 pi. Now we are trying to write the Fourier series in this interval. So to get the Fourier series in this interval, we'll simply try to replace this pi by l, right? If you know this Fourier series expansion in this interval, in this Fourier series, you see, if you replace pi by l, right, again, we must go back to the Fourier series in this interval. That's the idea. Okay, so already we know how to find the Fourier series in the interval 0 comma 2 pi or minus pi comma pi. Now we are trying to write the Fourier series in a general interval. It may be 0 comma 2l or minus l comma l or any other interval in general. So in those intervals, in fact, we are calling them as arbitrary intervals. So when you are given a random interval, in such a random interval, we can find out what you call the Fourier series. But one basic thing you see, you should remember, when you are given, these intervals, either 0 comma 2 pi or minus pi comma pi, in this case, you see, in these two cases particularly, length of the interval is 2 pi, right? That was the basic condition we have considered. Now, when you are given an arbitrary interval, whatever may be the interval, or else in general, you see, it is like this, c comma c plus 2l. When you are given an arbitrary interval, always we consider length of the interval as 2l, right? Always, similar to 2 pi. We take, length of the interval. See, sometimes, when you are given it as 1 comma 3, it looks like the interval length is 2. But when you are given it as 0 comma 1, you may not think like, the length of this interval is 2 directly, right? But still, we consider the length of that interval as 2l. Even for this interval, we can find out the Fourier series. So in such a case, you see what happens. When you are given the interval as 0 comma 1, we still consider the length of that. In fact, you see, when you are given the interval as 0 comma 1, length of this interval is exactly 1 unit. But see what we do, we'll consider this one is equal to 2l. I mean, we'll take 2l is equals to 1. And thereby, we'll write the value of l as 1 by 2. Okay, we write the value of l as 1 by 2. So that's the idea. Whatever the interval you may be given, we simply take the length of that interval as some 2l. So keeping that idea in mind, we'll just generalize the interval as c comma c plus 2l, and then we try to write the Fourier series. The only point which you need to remember particularly here is length of the interval. For a regular Fourier series, length of the interval is always 2l. And what is this l? L is some random value, you see, some real number. right? To get the endpoints here, we are using this L here. Okay, so the length of this interval is 2L, and depending on that value of L, we are going to write the Fourier series now. Let me just give you that. Now look at this. Before getting into that, let me just recall these things. When you are given a function f of x, which is defined in the interval c comma c plus 2 pi. Let me recall this. When you are given a function which is defined in this 2 pi length interval, then you see, if you recall the Fourier series expansion of this function, it is a0 by 2 plus summation an cos nx plus summation bn sin nx. See, this is a regular Fourier series expansion of this function in the interval of length 2 pi, right? Now see here, if you look at this, in the interval now c comma c plus 2L, right? We need to replace pi by L. You see, when you write the Fourier series expansion for the interval c comma c plus 2L, see, it can be written like this. As you can see here, it is f of x is equals to, see, f of x is equals to a0 by 2 plus summation an into, look at this carefully, n pi x by L. As I told you just a few seconds ago, when you replace pi by L, see, we should get back to, this expression. Or else when you replace L by pi, we should get back to the original Fourier series. So if you replace, for example, L by pi, what happens, pi can be cancelled here. So we'll get it as simply an into cos nx, the same thing what you have written earlier, right? So whatever the Fourier series you are seeing, you are observing here now on the screen, that is the most general form of the Fourier series, which you can write in any arbitrary interval. So the Fourier series expansion for any arbitrary interval c comma c plus 2L, we can write it like this: summation an into cos n pi x by L plus bn into summation n pi x by L. Right here also, you see, when you replace L by pi, we'll get back to what you call your regular Fourier series. Right? See, when you have that interval 0 comma 2 pi or c comma c plus 2 pi, this is the Fourier series, fine. And while writing Fourier coefficients, see how we write this. A0 can be written as 1 by pi into integration from c to c plus 2 pi, right? Whatever the interval you are given, we take the end points of the interval as the limits, fx dx. See, this is how we calculate A0. You see, the same way, you see, the same thing. We are simply replacing pi by L. So you see, we got A0 as 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx dx. Right? We have simply replaced pi by L. The story is quite same. And even while calculating an, we have actually this 1 by pi into integration from c to c plus 2 pi fx into, see, whatever the function you have in the Fourier series, that function we use here actually, cos nx. Right? Whatever the coefficient we have, whichever the function we have the coefficient as an, right? That function will be used in the integrand here. Now, in a very similar way, when you replace pi by L here again, right? You can look at this an 1 by L into c to c plus 2L now, and see the function what you have here in the Fourier series is cos n pi x by L. See, that function is used in the integrand f of x into cos n pi x by L dx. In a very similar way, when you write bn, it is actually this 1 by pi into integration from c to c plus 2 pi fx into sin nx dx. Right? In a very similar way here also, you see, for the arbitrary interval, we can write 1 by L is equal bn as 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx into sin n pi x by L dx. Right? So this is the general Fourier series, which you can write in an arbitrary interval c comma c plus 2L. Now, in particular, if you take c is equals to 0 here, you see, the interval is c comma c plus 2L, right? In case if you take c is equals to 0, the interval becomes 0 comma 2L. Right? Whatever the Fourier series we get for this interval 0 comma 2L, it is very much similar to the Fourier series what we got in the interval 0 comma 2 pi. And in a similar way, if you take c is equals to minus L, right, in general, if you take c is equals to minus L, we'll get the interval as minus pi comma pi. Sorry, minus L comma L. Then we get the Fourier series in the arbitrary interval minus L comma L. And in particular, you see, when you take c is equals to minus pi, for example, I'm sorry, if you take c is equal to 0 and L is equals to pi, you'll get back to your regular Fourier series in a 2 pi length interval. That's how I'm saying this is the most general form of the Fourier series. Okay, I'm just showing you those two again. When you write the Fourier series expansion in the interval 0, 2L, right? In the interval 0, 2L, you know, as you can see here, this is a Fourier series. The only difference you find here, you see that this Fourier series is quite same, but you see, you'll find the difference in this integral limits, right? As you can see in A0, if you look at them, you see the limits 1 by 0 to 2L, and you see the whatever the interval you are given here, and you see the endpoints of this interval will be taken as limits to these integrals. In a similar way here also, you see, while calculating an and bn, the limits are from 0 to 2L. And even you see the same way, when you are given the function in the interval minus L to L, you see, the way of writing Fourier series is quite common, but you look at the limits. Whatever the interval you are given here, you see, the endpoints of this interval are taken as, you see, the limits of this integral minus L to L, right? So that's how you can actually write the Fourier series. And one point I just want to mention here. See, when we discussed Fourier series in the last few classes, there was a clear idea. The interval was either 0 to 2 pi, or clearly from minus pi to pi, or in some case, you see, while finding the half range series, you know, it was 0 to pi. So there is a clear distinction between all the intervals. But now we can find the Fourier series even in this interval 0, 1. If not that, you see, we can find the Fourier series in the interval minus 1, 0. Right? Something else, you know, minus 2, 3. You can take any arbitrary interval in which we can find out the Fourier series. So I just want to give you one simple idea to remember. When you are given an arbitrary interval, you'll be simply asked to find the Fourier series. So keeping that in mind, you see, to identify the value of this L, you know, while evaluating the Fourier coefficients here, limits of these integrals are nothing but the endpoints of the interval. Whatever the interval you are given, from that interval, you take the endpoints, first one and the last one, as the limits of the given integral, limits of these integrals, A0, An, and Bn. But you see, we certainly need the value of L also. So to find the value of L, what you do here, you see, when you are given an interval of this kind, for example, you see, if you write it general, if the interval is A, B, whatever may be the values of A and B, length of this interval is B minus A. So if the interval is 0, 1, you know, then the length is, I'm not tracking it as L, remember, it is length. It is 1 minus 0, which is equals to 1. And in this case, you see the length is 0 minus of minus 1, again 1. Then you see here in this case, 3 minus of minus 2, 3 plus 2, it is 5. Like this, for every interval, we can find the length, right? Now we are taking length of that interval as 2L. Length of that interval is 2L. You know, in first interval, in the case of 0, 1, see, 2L is equals to 1. In the second case also, you see 2L is equals to 1. In the third case here, you see when the interval is minus 2, 3, the length is, 2L is equals to 5. By calculating this length, we can find out the value of 2L first. And then you can also write the value of L. See, if you look at the first one, you see, when you get 2L as equals to 1, see, then the L is 1 by 2. L may be any number, you see, it may be any real number, correct? It may be a fraction also, it may not be integer always. Then you see in the third case, you see, we got 2L is equals to 5. When 2L is equals to 5, you see, we can write L is equals to 5 by 2. Right? So L may be anything, as I told you now, it may be any fraction, but looking at the limits here, limits of these integrals, look at what interval you are given in the question. So endpoints of those, in that interval are the limits of these integrals. So keep these things in mind. And now let's just move on to a question to find out the Fourier series, of course, in an arbitrary interval. Right. So now the function, what you're given is x square, and look at the interval carefully. So the interval what you are given here is minus 1, 1. In this interval, now we need to express the Fourier series. Look at this. Even earlier also, you were given a function. You are given a question like this only. You will be given like a function, and you will be asked to find out the Fourier series in some interval. There it was like, 0, 2 pi or minus pi, pi. So pi was included there, right? But now here, see, there is no pi. When there is no pi, you can understand this is an arbitrary interval. Okay. When there is no pi, when pi is not involved, understand it's a question of arbitrary interval. So it's clear now. You're asked to express this function as a Fourier series in this interval. So I'm just writing the things what you are given here. Given function f of x is equals to x square. And the interval is of course clear. Now, since you understood the interval is an arbitrary interval, if you write the Fourier series, I'm just writing everything for a practice here. The Fourier series expansion of f of x in the arbitrary interval -1, 1 is, see, I'm just writing the formula. F of x is equals to, it is the regular formula, you see, a naught by 2 plus a naught by 2 plus summation an into, see, I'm just writing the regular formula. First of all, n pi x by L plus, I'm just taking a bracket here, bn sin n pi x by L. Right? See, what are the values of a naught, an, and bn? Let's write those three also, where a naught is equals to, it is 1 by L into integration from, you see, I'm just writing it like this for convenience, c to c plus 2L. Right? Normally, while writing the limits, you see, don't worry about, what is the value of c and other things. Look at the interval of what you are given in the question. End points of that interval can be taken as limits of this integral directly. Okay, so then this and the integrand is f of x dx. And similarly, I'm writing the other two also here. An is equals to 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx into cos n pi x by L dx. And I'm writing the formula for bn as well. You see, bn is equals to 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx into sin n pi x by L dx. Now let us just calculate, all these three Fourier coefficients, and along with that, you see, we need to first of all calculate the value of L, right? The limits of this integral are quite clear because I'm telling you repeatedly, the interval, whatever the interval you have, from that end points you can write the limits. But you see, certainly we know the value of L. So to calculate that, given interval is -1, 1. Let 2L is equals to length of this interval. Therefore, 2L is equals to, see how much is the length. Normally, when you are given the interval as something like a comma b, we can just calculate the length of this as b minus a, isn't it? So keeping that in mind, we write it as 1 minus of -1, which is equals to 2. So this implies, you see, we have 2L is equals to 2, and therefore, we can write the value of L is equals to 1. Right? So now we got the required value of L. Now let us calculate these three Fourier coefficients. And of course, later on, we can substitute the value of L as well. Now, therefore, you see, if you calculate value of A naught, first of all, the first Fourier coefficient, A naught is equals to 1 by, I'm just substituting L is equals to 1. So 1 by 1 into integration from, see what I'm writing here, you see, whatever the interval you are given, looking at this. So the interval is -1, 1. I'm just taking the limits of that interval, the end points of that interval as limits of this integral, -1 to 1, fx dx. What is fx? See, it is x square dx. Right? Otherwise, to get -1, the value of L is fixed here. You can also think of it this way, but little typical, you see. C plus 2L is equals to 1. I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to confuse you. Let us just proceed with this simple idea, right? Why should we waste our time? Now see, look at the integrand. Before that, you see, look at the limits. We have the limits as from -1 to 1. When the limits are, like this, we'll always look at the integrand. Whether in case if the integrand is either even or odd, we have certain advantages. When the integrand here is an even function, then we can write it as 2 times integration from 0 to 1 x square dx. Right? I hope you remember this. When it is integration from -a to a even function, then we write it as 2 times integration from 0 to a fx dx. Otherwise, when the integrand is an odd function, when the integrand is an odd function, then we write the integral value as simply 0. So keeping that in mind, I'm just proceeding. So this is equals to 2 times, when you integrate this x square, it is x cubed by 3 with the limits from 0 to 1. So which is equals to 2 times when you substitute the limits. When you substitute the upper limit x is equals to 1, we'll get it as 1 by 3 minus 0. So that you see the value of a naught is simply 2 by 3. So we got the first Fourier coefficient. Now let me just calculate, an. Look at this formula carefully. I'm just substituting L is equals to 1 and the limits are from -1 to 1. So let's just calculate an. So therefore now consider an is equals to 1 by L. So it is 1 by 1 integration from -1 to 1 fx into cos n pi x. Fx is x square into cos n pi x by L. You see carefully, look at this, cos n pi x divided by L. L is 1, into dx. Again, look at this carefully. The limits of this integration are from -1 to 1. That's one thing. Second thing, we know already x square is an even function. Now cos is also an even function. So that the product of these two even functions is also an even function. So when the integrand is an even function, you see, we can write this as 2 times integration from 0 to 1 x square into cos n pi x. Because the denominator is only 1, I'm just writing it as this, cos n pi x dx. Now let me just evaluate this integral. So it is 2 times, see what you'll get here. I'm first of all writing x square as it is. Then when I integrate this cos n pi x, we'll get it as sine n pi x divided by n pi. Right? Whatever the coefficient you have here for x here, that comes in the denominator, obviously. Minus, when you differentiate x square, you see it is 2x into, if you integrate this sine n pi x by n pi, integration of sine n pi x is minus cos n pi x divided by n pi. But already there is one n pi here, you see. When you multiply two n pi's, we'll get it as n square, n pi whole square. So we can also write it as n square pi square. That's one thing you see. Next, we need to differentiate again this 2x. When you differentiate 2x, plus differentiation of 2x is 2. And then you see, if you integrate this whole function, this minus can be written as it is. And when you integrate this, cos n pi x, it is sine n pi x divided by, you will actually get n pi, but already here there is n square pi square. So we'll get it as n cube pi cube, with the limits from 0 to 1. See, I'm not continuing this because in the next term, actually we differentiate 2. When you differentiate the 2, the derivative is anyway 0. So that all the remaining terms will be zeros. So when they're already zeros, there is no need to write them, right? So I've not written them. Now we need to substitute the limits. And while substituting the limits, you see, there is one simple advantage here. Look at the terms involved in this, this particular expression. In the first term, we have sine n pi x. Even in the last term, we have sine n pi x. So while substituting the limits, you are going to substitute them in place of x. So here, if you substitute x is equals to 1, what happens to this? You see, you're taking x is equals to 1. So it becomes simply sine n pi. When it is sine n pi, certainly, the value of sine n pi is 0. So for upper limit x is equals to 1, certainly that integral, the term is becoming 0. Right? That's fine. Next, even here also in the last term, when you take x is equals to 1, here also it is becoming sine n pi. So that even this is also 0. So for upper limit x is equals to 1, both first limit and the last limit, they are getting zeros. Correct? Not only for x is equals to 1, you see, even when you take x is equals to 0, it becomes a sine 0. The same thing here also, it becomes sine 0. So for both upper limit and lower limit, as we did in the previous cases, earlier also we discussed a similar thing. When you take x is equals to 1, the lower limit or upper limit, we are getting this sine term as simply 0. So while substituting the limits, you can simply ignore them. So keeping this idea in mind, you see, I'm proceeding further. As we discussed till now, when you take upper limit, this first term is directly 0 minus, here you see we have two negative signs. So when you multiply them, it is plus, then 2 into, you are substituting x is equals to 1, so it is only 2. And you see what you have here. If you take x is equals to 1, this becomes, cos n pi. When it is cos n pi, its value is minus 1 to the power of n divided by, we have n square pi square. Fine. Next, here also you see when you take x is equals to 1, the upper limit, you see its value is 0. So these are the three terms we'll get for upper limit minus. Now if you take for lower limit 0, as you already seen, first term is directly 0. Then the second term, you see in the second term we have actually 1x. Because of that x, when you take x is equals to 0, it becomes like, 0 into something. So that the second term is also 0. Fine. Next, as we already discussed, you see, because of the sign 0, the last term will be directly 0. Right. So we'll only get actually one term. So it is 2 times this 2, you see, 4 by n square pi square into minus 1 to the power of n. So this is the value of an. So an is equals to, if you want, you can even write like this, minus 1 to the power of n multiplied by 4 times 4 divided by n square pi square. That's the value of an. Now let me calculate the value of bn. So consider bn is equals to, I'm just using the same formula, 1 by L. The value of L is 1 into integration from, you see, minus 1 to 1. This time the function is x square into sine n pi x divided by 1 dx. Right. Now look at this, you see, the function, the integration limits are from minus 1 to 1, and the function x square is even, but the function sine is an odd function. So that you see the integrand is a product of one even and an odd function, so that you can understand the integrand is an odd function now. So when you integrate an odd function between, minus 1 and plus 1, certainly the integral value will be 0, right? We know that property. So keeping that in mind, you see, we'll directly write the value of bn is equals to 0. So this is because the integrand is odd. Right? Because the integrand is an odd function, we can write the value of bn as directly 0. So we got all the 3 Fourier coefficients. Now let's just write the Fourier series. The Fourier series of f of x in the interval minus 1 comma 1 is fx is equals to, I'm just substituting the values, you see. First of all, we write a naught by 2. So a naught is 2 by 3. So I'm writing it like this, 1 by 2 times 2 by 3 plus summation. We should write an into cos nx. So an value, we got it like this, you see, minus 1 to the power of n into 4 by n square pi square, an into cos x, cos function, cos n pi x. I'm only writing this much because actually we have, you see, cos n pi x by L, but the value of L is 1, you see. That's why it is cos n pi x plus, actually we should write bn, but the value of bn is anyway 0, right? So I'm not writing that. So if I just write it, therefore x square, function f of x is actually x square. X square is equal to, you can cancel this 2, and it is equals to 1 by 3 plus, you see here, 4 by pi square. 4 by pi square is actually a constant. So I'm just writing it out of the summation. 4 by pi square times summation minus 1 to the power of n into 1 by n square into cos n by x. So this is, what you call the Fourier series expansion of x square in the interval minus 1 comma 1. Remember, for the same function x square, we have written the Fourier series in some other interval also, right? That Fourier series was different, and this series is completely different. Okay, so that's the idea. We can write the Fourier series like this. Right, let's take this question now. We are asked to find the Fourier series expansion of f of x is equal to simply x in the interval, 0 comma 3. So looking at the interval only, we need to identify, because you see, we can find the Fourier series for f of x is equal to x in the interval 0 comma 2 pi, in the interval 0 comma pi, now in the interval 0 comma 2l, and even we'll discuss in the next class. We can also find the half range Fourier series in the interval 0 comma l, right? So look at the interval, and based on that only we'll just find out it. Now see, the function what you are given here is anyway f of x is equals to x, and the interval, this is where I'm interested in. The interval is 0 comma 3, right? Now see, let 2l is equals to, length of the interval. This is the regular idea what I'm taking. Look at the question carefully. I'm just repeating. If you're asked to find the half range Fourier series, that's a different story. Anyway, we'll discuss that in the next class. When you're asked to find the half range Fourier series, there is a little different. But when it is a regular Fourier series question like this, we take the length as 2L, right? When it is a regular Fourier series, you see, we take the length of the interval as 2L. Therefore, 2L is equals to, 3 minus 0, it is equals to 3. And hence you see we have 2L is equals to 3, which implies, L value is equals to 3 by 2. Keep this in mind. Now see, as I told you, the value of L may not be a integer always. So we get the value of L as 3 by 2 here. Now keeping this in mind, you see the Fourier series. The Fourier series of f of x in the interval 0, 3 is, I'm writing it like this, you see f of x is equals to a0 by 2 plus summation an, I'm just writing it in general first of all, and then we can rewrite it, n pi x by L plus bn sin n pi x by L. Right? See what are a0, an, and these things. Let me just write them carefully. I'm just calculating now, first of all, what you call a0. So here a0 is equals to, the formula says, you see it is this 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L. I'm just writing the regular formula, c to c plus 2L fx dx. Now this is equals to, see how much it is, 1 by, how much is the value of L? You see, we got it as 3 by 2. When you write it as 1 by 3 by 2, we can also send 2 to the numerator, we can write it as simply 2 by 3. Integration from, see, look at the limits. I mean, look at the interval what you are given. End points of that interval are the limits always, 0 to 3. And the function what you are given is simply x dx. So it is equals to, you see, we have 2 by 3 into, when you integrate x, you see it is x square by 2 with the limits from 0 to 3. When you substitute the things, 2 by 3 into, when you take x is equal to 3 upper limit, we'll get it as 9 by 2 minus 0. So you see, 2 can be cancelled and 9 by 3 means it is 3, right? So therefore, we have a0 is equals to 3. Right, now let's calculate the value of an. Consider the formula is, you see, this actually, an is equals to 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx into, you see, we should take cos n pi x by L dx. So therefore, an is equals to 1 by L means, you see, as we have written already, 2 by 3. Integration from 0 to 3, f of x is x into, look at this carefully, cos, we have actually this n pi x by L. And you see n pi x divided by, how much we substitute for L? It is 3 by 2. When you write 3 by 2 in the denominator, we can take 2 to the numerator, so we can write it as 2n pi x by 3. Correct? So that's what I'm writing here. It is 2n pi x divided by 3. Right? Make a habit of writing it this way. Don't write 3 by 2 in the denominator and, continuing with that. What happens, you see, when you write it like this, when you have a 3 in the denominator like this, see, after integration, we are going to substitute the limits. And what is your upper limit here? You see, 3 only. So always, the same thing comes for every problem. So when you have this 3, when you substitute x is equal to 3 after integrating, see, that 3 can be cancelled here. Right? So keeping that idea in mind, you see, I'm just writing here it in this way. And then you can also try to do that. Now see, we need to just evaluate now this product. So x into cos 2n pi x by 3. I'm just continuing this in the next slide. You see, I'm just evaluating that integral. So we have now, therefore, an is equals to 2 by 3 times. We have actually this, you see, x into cos 2n pi x by 3. I'm just evaluating this product, integration of that product. So I'm first of all writing this x as it is. And when you evaluate this integration of cos, so integration of cos, as you know, it is first of all sine 2n pi x by 3. This is in the numerator, divided by, see, whatever the coefficient you have here for x, that comes in the denominator, so it is 2n pi by 3 in the denominator. When it was sin nx, we had written, n in the denominator. Now, when you have 2n pi by 3, we'll write 2n pi by 3 in the denominator. Now, minus, when you differentiate x, it is anyway 1, I'm not writing. And if you integrate this sine function, you see, when you integrate that sine function, we'll get it as minus cos 2n pi x by 3 divided by, again, you'll get 2n pi by 3. Already there is one 2n pi by 3, So we'll get it as 2n pi by 3 whole square. So here the limits are from 0 to 3. Now see how much we will get after substituting the limits. One point you can observe anyway, as we discussed even in the previous problem. When you take x is equals to 3 here, you see what happens to the function. It becomes only sine n pi. When it is sine, of course, sine 2n pi. When you take x is equals to 3, 3 will be cancelled out and it becomes sine 2n pi. So even sine 2n pi value is 0, you see. Right? That's how for upper limit x is equal to 3, the first term becomes simply 0. Not only for the first term, even if you take x is equals to 0, it becomes simply sine 0. So it is 0. So this first term, which includes the sine function, is 0 for both lower limit as well as the upper limit. That's one observation. Fine. Next, let us just substitute them. This 2 by 3 times. Let us be careful and substitute the things. For upper limit, first term is 0. Then you see when you have two negative signs, when you multiply them, it is positive. One more thing you see here, we have 2n pi by 3 whole square in the denominator. When you expand, when you take the square of them, we'll get it like this, 4n square pi square by 9. So if you take it in the numerator, we can write it like this, 9 divided by 4n square pi square. And see how much you will get. When you take x is equals to 3, it becomes, 3 will be cancelled out. So what you'll get there, cos 2n pi. When it is cos 2n pi, its value is simply what you call 1. So I'm just substituting here this multiplied by 1. So these are the two terms we'll get for upper limit. Then minus, you are now taking the lower limit. As already we discussed, you see, for upper limit also the first term is directly 0. And then you see minus into minus plus. If you take x is equal to 0 here, you see what happens? It becomes cos 0 simply. So when it is simply cos 0, even its value is also 1 only. So the same thing, when you take this to the numerator, we'll get it as 9 divided by 4n square pi square into 1. Right? So there you are. So this is equals to 2 by 3 into, see what you have, 9 divided by 4n square pi square minus, the same thing you'll have, 9 divided by 4n square pi square. So that you can see, since they are the same terms, we'll get the value of an is equals to 0. Possible. Now we need to calculate the value of bn. So when you consider, you see, consider bn is equals to, it is 2 by 3 times, in fact, you see, I'm writing the formula once, 1 by L into integration from c to c plus 2L fx into sine n pi x by L. Right? So we need to just substitute the value of L, and it is equals to 1 by L means 2 by 3, integration from 0 to 3 x into sine, I'm just substituting L is equals to 3 by 2. So we'll get it as 2n pi x by 3. Right? So you need to just continue this. Right, you see, I'm just continuing this 2 by 3. See how I am evaluating this integration. First of all, I'm writing this x as it is, and when you integrate this sign, see, we'll get it as minus cos 2n pi x divided by 3 divided by, the same thing comes again, 2n pi by 3x. Now see, minus, when you differentiate x, it is simply 1, and when you integrate this whole function again, we'll get minus sine of 2n pi x by 3 divided by, when you get this same term, we'll get it as 2n pi by 3 whole square. And the limits are from 0 to 3. Fine. Next, you see, when I substitute the limit, you see, as we discussed earlier, This term will be 0 directly for both the limits, for upper limit as well as the lower limit. Now I'm just substituting the limits only in the first one. When you take x is equals to 3, we'll get it as minus 3 into, when you take x is equal to 3 here, it becomes only cos 2n pi, whose value is simply 1. So when you take the remaining, the numerator is all completely 1 now. And if you take this to the numerator, it becomes 3 divided by 2n pi. Then this term is 0 minus, now you are taking the lower limit, right? When you take x is equals to 0, you see, because of this x here, the term is, even the first term is also 0. So that you can see here, we'll get this as 2 by 3 times minus 9 divided by 2n pi. So that you see, therefore, the value of bn is equals to minus 2 will be cancelled and 3 can be divided, you see, minus 3 divided by n pi. That's the value of what you call bn. So if you just substitute everything into the Fourier series, therefore, the Fourier series is, see how much you'll get. F of x is equals to, it is first of all a naught by 2. How much is a naught? We got it as 3. So it is 3 by 2 plus summation, an we got it as 0. So I'm only substituting bn. So it is bn minus 3 by n pi into sine nx, not nx actually, n pi x by l, you see, n pi x divided by l value is 3 by 2. So if you just write it again, therefore we have x is equals to 3 by 2. And you see here, minus 3 by pi is actually a constant. So you can just write it outside, minus 3 by pi into summation 1 by n into sine of, you take 2 to the numerator, you see, we'll get it like this, 2n pi x by 3. So this is, you see, the Fourier series expansion of x in the interval, what you call 0, 3.